Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Cecil, and today we're going to be talking about dealing with challenges. So before we dive in, I want to share a quick story about the Vietnam War. So as many of you know, back in there were a lot of soldiers over in Vietnam, and when a group of American soldiers would get captured, the communists would torture them and try to get them to reveal information. They would get them to try to, do taped confessions and taped, get on video saying how awesome communism is and how America sucks and all this other kinds of stuff. And they would torture people to do this, right? And it was very extreme. It was very brutal. And, some people would break. Everybody would break to some extent, but some people would break a little bit. Some people would break a lot. Some people would, be somewhere in the middle. And so there was this one guy, I can't remember his rank. I think it was Major. I think he was a Major. His last name was Stockdale. So Major Stockdale was interviewed many years after the war, and they asked him, they said, so, what determines whether someone breaks or not? How could you tell, or were you able to tell, whether or not somebody, when they were faced with a challenge, when they were faced with the prospect of torture, who would stay strong and who wouldn't? And he said, oh, yes, I could tell. It was very simple. He said, the people who came in who were really optimistic, who were like, oh, we're going to get rescued in, 2 weeks or a month or 3 months, or we'll be out of here by Christmas. They'll negotiate it. The people who came in, sorry, I coughed a little bit. The people who came in with this delusional optimism, he says, every one of them broke. He said, because what would happen is that they would stay strong up until their faith was not rewarded because they believed something would happen that didn't happen, and then they'd give up. He goes, the people who are super pessimistic, who were like, oh, we're going to be here forever, we might as well just get used to being communists, they gave up on day one. He said, the people who stayed strong were those who had a healthy balance of the two. They were sorry, one second. Let me have some water here. They were the people who came in and they were neither pessimistic nor optimistic. They knew that they were in for a long run, and they stood up willing to face it. They said, I know that this is going to be tough, and I'm in. Like, eventually something will change, but it's going to be a hard road. I'm ready to walk it. And so this created what's called the Stockdale paradox, right? Is that you can't be, thanks, Don. Yes, I need to drink some water. So the Stockdale paradox is that you can't be too optimistic. You can't be too pessimistic. You have to be able to look your problems in the face, to look your challenges in the face, and then rise to meet them. So now that I've gone on this little story of the Vietnam War and the Stockdale paradox, how does that apply to you? Well, what I found is that when people deal with challenges, they tend to approach it from one of these three different ways, right? Some people are just uber pessimistic. They get in there, they face a challenge, they clam up, they say, oh my God, this is too scary. This could go wrong, that could go wrong, all these other things could go wrong. I'm just going to freeze. And they just stop, right? And then they never take the steps needed to go towards their goals. Now, there are other people who get in and they say, oh, wow, this is going to be amazing. Everything's going to be, unicorns and butterflies, and it's all going to go perfectly. And I'm going to, be a bazillionaire. I'm going to be working for Amway for 3 years and then be a billionaire, like all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And people come in and then that doesn't happen, right? And so then what happens is those people, they'll give up on their strategy and then they'll go do something else. But since they're constantly jumping around, they're constantly doing these other things, they never actually commit to one thing and finish it. There's a term called entrepreneurial ADD, because a lot of entrepreneurs are the kinds of people who they won't give up on the outcome, but they'll give up on the strategy as soon as they hit a road bump. And then, they'll go and they'll try to find another strategy. They'll do this other thing. They'll do this other thing. They'll do this other thing. And because they never commit to something and stick with it, they never get the results from any of the strategies, right? Now, finally, there's the third way, and this is what Major Stockdale himself did, right? And that is when you face a challenge, get really clear on exactly what the challenge is. Get really clear on exactly how much work it's going to take and how hard it's going to be, and then commit to do that. Commit to face that challenge. Commit to stand your ground, right? With full knowledge and full understanding of what's really going on. And then when you do that, that's how you overcome the challenge. That's how you deal with the challenge, right? You turn it into a dance where you know that it's just part of the game, right? And then that's the way that you really make progress. And that's the way you don't get thrown off, because no matter what you're doing, right, you're going to face challenges. There's just no way around it. You're going to face challenges. And if you let those challenges either freeze you or, yes, commit without any fear. Exactly, Don. If you let those challenges freeze you, or if you let yourself get in a position where, you're just shifting from thing to thing to thing because you're basically running away from every new challenge as it comes, you're never going to win, right? Winning comes from that, from being able to look the demon in the face, being able to look your challenges in the face and say, you know what, I'm going to stand my ground anyway. If you guys want to talk about more stuff like this, if you found this interesting, if you want to pick my brain on stuff, I do have a free Facebook group. It's www.facebook.com/groups/the science of career freedom. By the way, I'm noticing here that thing's not, the link's not coming up very well. So 1 second. Here, let me give you a better link or a better thing. So now you can actually see the whole thing scroll across the bottom of the screen. So www.facebook.com/groups/the science of career freedom. So primarily we deal with career stuff. We deal with, hey, listen, if you're in a job you hate, how do you start, doing something you love? How do you get clear on what that is? How do you plan out the steps between A and B? How do you actually execute that? And so, if you're running into these kinds of blocks where maybe you're facing challenges and then, you're running away and doing something else, or you're facing challenges and you're freezing, right? Then that's something you can ask me about. There's a whole host of other things, we'll talk about, we do all kinds of videos, but most importantly is you can pick my brain about whatever challenges you're facing. You can get some advice on what to do and what are the best next steps. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the group. I look forward to speaking to you soon, either in the group or on the next live, and I will see you there. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.